All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the arena in the boardroom, where we made a slight change to our overall scope. All right, so we started out originally sports minds, people focused. Got some new individuals that have agreed to produce for the platform, including Ben Parker, who got his first episode up this week. Go check that out. It's on the LinkedIn page and it's on the Spotify. But the change we made has shifted from just sports minds, people focused, to a broader concept of sports, business, society, progress through perspective. And I think that's going to make things a little bit easier as we decide to try and invite people to participate with us, and as we continue to try to reach a broader audience. If you hear a cat in the background, I do have a cat as I'm recording this right before I log in to work. So what have we got today? Today is the start of the NFL season, and while this is not going to break down games, this isn't going to focus on anything along those lines, there is a big, important piece of detail that is happening with the start of this NFL season, and it ties into a lot of how organizations function. So we are looking at all of the brand new starting quarterbacks that are going to be playing for week one. And we've got all those names down. And the question that I'm asking is, now that we're out of training camp, now that we're out of the preseason, do we play those quarterbacks right away, these young quarterbacks, especially the rookie quarterbacks, or with some of the second-year guys that we're going to see, is it better that they had a chance to sit and develop? So we are going to go right down the list, starting with Atlanta. Desmond Ridder is going to be in his second year, had a chance to sit most of last season, started the last few games just to get a taste, and they're riding with him starting in week one. Carolina, number one overall draft pick that they traded up for, Bryce Young, is the guy, and he's going to be starting right away. I think we all knew that was going to happen. C.J. Stroud, second overall pick, also going to be starting right away. Anthony Richardson, and this is the one that gives me the most angst, fourth overall pick this year for Indianapolis, also going to be starting right away. Jordan Love is the question mark because he's the one that had a chance to sit the longest. This model of draft and develop was embodied by Green Bay and now embodied by him, as it was with his predecessor before him and Aaron Rodgers. But Green Bay will be starting Jordan Love for the first time this Sunday. Tampa Bay is not going to be going with Kyle Trask. They're going to be going with Baker Mayfield. So I had him on my list thinking he was going to be the starter, but we've got to cross him out now. Sam Howell, first-time starting quarterback for this season. Started the last game of the year last year. A lot of excitement coming out of Washington, and we will see if that excitement is going to be rewarded with this quarterback. And then Arizona was the team that we are still trying to figure out what they're going to do. They traded for Josh Dobbs, who started some games, been in the league a while, but they've also got a rookie quarterback. Sorry, I had the name down. Need to pull that name up real quick. Clearly, I'm stalling. Arizona Cardinals. It's coming up. Shame on me. I need to be more prepared on that one. Arizona Cardinals. Clayton Tune. There we go. Okay, so we will find out probably around game time whether or not it's going to be Josh Dobbs or Clayton Tune. If I had to guess, it is going to be Clayton Tune because the Cardinals are in full-on tank mode. So why is this important as we look at who's starting into it? Obviously, quarterback, most important position in the NFL as it relates to success, not success. But the reason why I'm posing the question, play right away or sit and develop, is because we don't have a very high success rate for quarterbacks drafted in the first round, especially. The NFL and the college game are two very different games. So when we look at how this was done in the past, how it's done now, everybody references Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes with the Kansas City Chiefs as the most recent example of why you need to let a quarterback sit on the bench for a year and then play them the following year when they are probably a little bit more ready. Well, the reason why that model isn't as feasible for some is you look at most of these teams that have young quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks, especially this year. Carolina, they traded up to number 1, but they were drafting in the top 10. Houston earned their number 2 overall pick. Indianapolis earned their number 4 overall pick. So you look at those 3 teams that drafted quarterbacks, they didn't have an established starter on their team. They were drafting because they needed a quarterback and they needed somebody who was more talented than anybody else that they felt was on the market. What was unique about the Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes situation in 2017 was they traded up for him all the way from the back of the first round coming off of a playoff appearance to get their quarterback of the future. And because of that, they were able to let him sit for a year while they were still a playoff contender. And that worked out well because they were able to move off the next year. And as we know, Patrick Mahomes has been terrorizing the NFL since. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers was the other one, and that's exactly the model we saw with Jordan Love. Draft a guy late in a quarterback's career that you've had for a while, let him sit for a couple of years, and then turn it over to him. We will see how that works with Jordan Love, but if things in history indicates the Packers are set up for another successful run of quarterback play because it worked with the Favre-Rodgers swap, and they are hoping that it works with the Jordan Love swap as well. Where this all began was in the 2011 CBA. Prior to 2011, NFL teams did not have a rookie wage scale, and I'll explain that a little bit in a second. But before that CBA was put in place, rookie contracts were unhinged. You had rookies making more than star players just because that is what the market dictated. Their value was dictated based off of the market, not a rookie wage scale. And the problem was is you had teams investing a ton of money in quarterbacks in particular that had not done anything, and when they don't pan out, it was devastating to some teams' cap numbers. It would literally set your team back 5+ years if you missed on a quarterback in the first round. So this rookie wage scale was implemented, and it really helped teams maximize their cap dollars. It put a cap on how much those rookies were going to make. It slotted everything based off of your draft position, and because of that, it now meant you had a 5-year window to really see what that rookie quarterback could do and build a team around them. And if they didn't work out, you were really just out the time and the draft pick. You weren't necessarily out all of the money that you were in the past. Now, even with the implementation of that CBA, I don't think we really saw how teams wanted to play this strategy until 2012 when we saw a lot of rookie quarterbacks have success. We saw Andrew Luck. We saw Robert Griffin. We saw Ryan Tannehill. We saw Russell Wilson in the later rounds. And there were a couple of quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins, who ended up having success after Robert Griffin in Washington as well. It was a really good draft class, and it showed that, hey, you can probably let these younger quarterbacks play because if they don't work out, we can just go get a new one. And that really trashed the old model of draft and develop. So with what I said earlier, the college game is very different now than what it was. If you watched any college football last weekend, everything was so wide open. I mean, Colorado as an example, 510 yards, 4 receivers going over 100 yards, putting up 45 points with a relatively brand new roster that was put together is impressive. But that's indicative of what the game is now. These kids have been playing a lot of 7-on-7 in high school, a lot of private coaching, a lot of reps, right? Quarterbacks are throwing the ball all over the yacht. So when you compare that to what it was back in the early 2000s, the 90s, and before that, it was different. It was more run focused. Colleges were running their systems for their success. They weren't getting players ready to play in the NFL. So these quarterbacks now are a whole lot more equipped to play in the NFL game, even though there is a scaling up period, and there really are some stark differences. And that old model too, coaches, they were just old school, right? They weren't turning their prize team, their future, their job into the hands of a rookie, no matter how much hype came with them or how high they were drafted. Coaches just weren't going to do it. That is just not the case now, right? And you've got fan bases, you've got owners who are increasingly impatient. They want to see that new rookie with all the hype play instantly. And in this new model, players really don't get to choose their circumstances either, right? You get drafted to a bad team and they want you to play, well, you're kind of going to have to play. With the exception, I mean, in the past, it's rare that it's happened, but John Elway did it. Eli Manning did it. There's a rumor that Peyton Manning might have shifted his way from the New York Jets in 97 so that he came out in 98. But because you don't get to choose your circumstances, it really puts yourself at risk. And Caleb Williams' dad said it this week that if he really didn't feel like coming out and wanting to play for the team that had the number one overall pick, you could just go back and collect more NIL money, which is honestly the truth and a smart strategy when you think about it, because these players are getting paid a lot in college as we speak. And the teams, when they have those high picks, there's a reason, right? They don't always get it right. And when you look at these players, they love the game, right? They've staked their livelihood and their face and everything about them to playing football. And they want to go to a situation where they're going to not just have a chance to play, but have a chance to play well, develop, and have a long career in the NFL. And a lot of these teams drafting high don't offer that. And it's always the player's fault when they don't pan out as draft picks. But how much fault does the organization really get when they don't develop somebody? I mean, everybody ends up getting fired, but there's no regard for the player. It's just the player's fault. They weren't good enough to be drafted at the position that they were. Forget the fact that they were drafted. They didn't ask to be drafted there. So what current examples do we have of that? Right? I think the easy one would be my team, the New York Jets and Zach Wilson. Drafted really high, number 2 overall, given no competition in training camp, and given the starting job right away. Was not ready, especially when you see that the team that he was playing on got really good, really quick last year, and he was not able to scale his development. Now, it's unprecedented that you would fail that hard, remain with the team that you got drafted by, and you're going to sit behind a legend in Aaron Rodgers. They basically replaced him in real time. And he's going to try this development thing again and hopefully be able to be a viable quarterback for the Jets after Rodgers retires, or somewhere else after some of his mechanics have refined. The other one is going to be Trey Lance, who was just traded from the 49ers to the Cowboys. And it was just simply because the timelines no longer matched up. Had Trey Lance been able to get more reps, play more, he might be the quarterback. But because he didn't get a whole lot of reps coming out of college, because he didn't get a chance to develop the way that he wanted to in the NFL or needed to in the NFL, he got traded a couple weeks ago and is now a Dallas Cowboy. And the interesting thing there, when I'll say this with both Zach Wilson and Trey Lance, if you miss that high on a quarterback, the Jets who were already picking high and the 49ers who traded up, it is so rare that either of those teams wouldn't have gotten people fired, number one, but it didn't hurt their franchises at all. I mean, the Jets missed the playoffs when they could have made the playoffs last year, but they got Aaron Rodgers now, and 49ers have been in the NFC Championship game for what feels like the last 3-4 years, or at least been in contention for it. And that is all organizational. I'll say creativity. I won't say stability on the Jets' part, but it seems like they've got some things going the right way, and the 49ers have been stellar over the last 5 years with how they've put this thing together. So transitioning in, what does this look like in an organizational setting? Obviously, the hiring process is very different, but there are some of those employees that you get. It's just like, I see a lot of potential in how this person could develop. And if that's the case, you want to make sure you do everything in your power to develop them the right way. The only thing I don't love about the current state of working is how we hire people to produce right away. Onboarding is just this thing that a lot of departments say, and it really is code for we need to get all of your I-9 paperwork in and get this other administrative stuff done. But training is so often done in real time now that people really don't get a chance to learn their role, learn their company, learn the vibe, learn all this stuff. And because they're in survival mode right away, they develop some sloppy habits that maybe aren't critical mistakes to have in their development, but things that maybe just don't make the process as clean as they need to be. And that's because the expectation is you've been hired, you can do the job, we need you to do the job, versus hey, we hired you. This is how we want you to do it, and we're going to train you to do it this way. It's a very loose concept, and that's one that's concerning. And this is why we've got a lot of problems in a lot of places, because we are not giving people the chance to develop right away. I have tried to do that, and I've probably said this example at the onset of this platform, but when I had my last role, there was a person that I did that with. I hired him for a position that we didn't originally talk about because I thought it would give him the best chance to grow his skill set. And over the time, started to pick things up, started to understand how the job worked, understood the system. And when I had somebody at our front desk leave to go take a different position in the same building, um, he was able to slide right in. In fact, he asked to be slotted right in because he felt like he was ready. He felt confident, he felt empowered. And that was a moment of pride for me because it meant that the development plan worked and we had somebody who was able and willing and ready to take on the responsibility. Um, I got a lot of flack for it because we were wasting hours that could have been used elsewhere. But when you look at what happened, it was the right decision. So, what is the right decision? Do you sit people right away? Do you let them play right away? What's the plan? And I think it's case by case. If you've got a system in place where you can insulate somebody brand new, um, well, my example in the past, and my current one with my job now, I got brought into an amazing team where I'm working at now, and I got a chance to train with the person whose job I was taking over for a month and work in real time. It was a very measured plan that really led to my success now. That's one way. You can put people on the shelf and say, hey, we're going to slow play this. It's going to potentially be boring for you, but we need to get this done the right way. And if the role's important enough, that might be how you do it. There are some people who are going to thrive by going in right away and just learning and making mistakes and seeing it in real time. But you have to know who you're bringing in personnel wise in order to do it. And I said at the beginning, Anthony Richardson with Indianapolis this year worries me. The guy is so talented. He's so raw, though. And Indianapolis has not been a great team the last couple of years. They have struggled with pretty established quarterbacks. And I worry that when you get somebody like that, confidence can start to dip, mechanics can start to decline, and all of a sudden now you've got a problem where this player isn't developing the way you need to, similar to what happened to Zach Wilson in New York, and the player's going to get all the flack. So if I worry about anything, it's that one with Anthony Richardson going into this season. The other teams, not that there's no concern, but you just kind of have to roll with it. And this is the way the NFL is now. And when you look at how you want to do something organizationally, you have to assess the landscape, the situation, and understand if you put a potential employee in this situation, what is it going to do not just for you, but to them? You never want to be the reason that somebody's career gets ruined. And that's something I took very seriously both as a coach and as a manager, and it's something that I'm going to take serious as I continue to work with personnel, human capital going forward. The people matter. And if you want them to have a positive experience, that means a whole lot more than just getting them in, getting them onboarded, and getting them producing. You need to be very calculated with how somebody develops because it is all done on a case-by-case basis. All right, that's all I got today. NFL football is officially back. I'm excited, and we've got more topics coming down the pipe. Check out the blog on Medium. Check out some of the other creators that are going to start piping in. And I jumped right in. I did forget there was a drink of this episode, but again, it is 8 in the morning, so I'm not crazy here, and I do have to work today. I'm just having a glass of Earl Grey tea. I start all my mornings with tea, and I will list the brand in the description because it is a delicious cup of tea. All right, I'm out. Have a good one, and I will talk to all of you soon.